All right, Roby, why don't you get ready to come on up here? And so one of the people that God brought into my life was Roby, who helped me see things differently and gave me some paradigm shifts, and he mentored me in a lot of areas, and I appreciate his mentorship in my life, and we've been friends now for I don't know how long, but 24 years, and so he's got a lot of experience, and I want him to share his story as well. He came to America with a lot of strikes against him, but he's overcome that, and it's great. Thanks, Roby.
Appreciate it, buddy.
Yep.
Thank you. Test. All right. Listen, we've been sitting here for almost 45 minutes. Let's do this. Let's just stand up for a second. Please, everybody, just pleasure me. Stand up. Oh, thank you so much. I want you to do me a favor. Do me a favor. Reach out and touch your heart and feel the beat. Touch your heart. Can you feel it? Okay. I want you to do me another favor. I want you to just do me a 360 turn around. Let's get the blood vessels going. Just turn around. There you go. I appreciate it very, very much. Thank you. Now, I just want you to move side to side. Side to side. Move side to side. Just move. There you go. Now we can have a seat. So people are going to ask you, you say, you know what, I understand Pastor Kerry's been teaching this class, and today you had a special guest speaker all the way from Baghdad, Iraq. How did he do? I think it's fair enough to say that you can say, you know what? My heart was touched. I was literally moved, and my life has been turned around. Right? All right. So Pastor Kerry asked me to share with you a little bit of my background. But before I share my background and history and what I've done in the business world, all that kind of stuff, where I came from. So you can understand that perspective, and you can see from a refugee's perspective, from an immigrant's perspective, how I see America. Okay? So I was born in Baghdad, Iraq. As most of you know, Baghdad, Iraq, or the country of Iraq, is a 99% Muslim world. We happen to be Christians. I am from the old, ancient Assyrian heritage. And if it wasn't for Jonah, that went to the Assyrians and told the king, fast and repent or you will be destroyed. Then the king fasted, but he also called on all the Assyrians to fast. Even the animals fasted and repented, turned to God of Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So Jonah, who you have heard the stories, plays a major part in my life and my ancestors. I'm a descendant of that heritage. Our Assyrians are 7,780 years. We just celebrated 7,787 years, what we call an annual thing that we do celebrate as Assyrians in this world. So we're old, right? America is what, 225 years old now, right? So we have heritage. And my mom is named Yonah, which is the female version of Jonah. That's how much Jonah means to us. And my uncles are named Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob. So that's how serious. So as a matter of fact, whenever they got together, all of us would be afraid because, Abraham, Isaac, and Jacob there, God must be there, right? So, but having said that, my father was threatened by Saddam Hussein's regime in 1972. Is it okay if I walk around? Because that light's hitting me right in the eyes. Okay. So in 1972, my father was threatened by Saddam Hussein's regime. And in that world, if you're threatened and you're a Christian, two things happen to you. You die or you disappear. It's the same thing. So literally overnight, my dad packed. We had a few suitcases and clothes, and we packed overnight, and we fled. We were smuggled to Damascus, Syria. And from Damascus, Syria, we were smuggled to Beirut, Lebanon, where we stayed there for 2 years. And the reason we went to Beirut, Lebanon, because that was the nearest U.S. embassy that we can file for political asylum to seek refuge in that country. So we stayed there for 2 years in a room that was 10 by 10, or maybe it was 11 by 11. It's one of those. It was either 11 by 11 or 10 by 10. So 120 square feet, me, my mother, my father, and my 3 sisters. And we slept on sponges. Back there, the Church World Council gave us sponges to live on, like 6-foot sponges, but at least it was something to lay on instead of the cold tile. And we waited there as refugees, and we saw poverty. I've tasted poverty. I've tasted homelessness more than once. But by the grace of God, how he took us from this Muslim world, took us to Damascus. I feel like the Apostle Paul almost. I'm saying this, oh my goodness. From Damascus to Beirut, Lebanon. In Beirut, Lebanon, back in the 70s, it was known as Little Paris. I don't know if you knew that or not. It was beautiful, but I was a refugee, right? It was beautiful. And so in 1974, we finally got what they call the green card. That is to come to this country legally. Legally. My father said, if we're going to go to America, we're going to do it the right way. We're going to do it legally. We're going to follow our faith. We're going to follow what we have always been pursuing, and this is it. And that's what we see as refugees. Follow our faith so we can not be persecuted for our faith. As most Christians, you know, there's major persecution in the Christians all over the world. So we arrived here in 1974, and I can tell you, one of the happiest and the greatest days of my life. And when people ask me what nationality are you, because I look foreign, I look different, right? I don't say I'm an Assyrian. I never say I'm Middle Eastern or Arabic. I just say I am an American. I came to America to become an American. Now my heritage is with me, and I still love my heritage. As a matter of fact, I love our cooking, okay? But I came to this country to adopt the philosophies and what this country has to offer. And from seeing it from a refugee's eye, it has a lot to offer, as my sister would tell you, right? Right? So sometimes because we have it so good here, we don't realize it how good it is. So that's my background. I started on my first job. I'm going to tell you what it is real quickly, then I'll move on to the lesson. My first job, I got hired as a 16, 17-year-old kid at a tuxedo rental place, and my job was to clean all the tuxedos that came back from the vomit and the dirty clothes and the drinking and the alcohol, and then push them in the dry clean. And it was a terrible job. It was hot, it was dirty, but I needed to work, right? But at age 18, I got my first job at Pizza Hut restaurant that was owned by Pepsi, because Pepsi owns Pizza Hut, they own Taco Bell, they own Kentucky Fried Chicken, they own all the chips and all that kind of stuff, right? So I was working for the organization, S&P 500 company, Pepsi, and I was working for this particular Pizza Hut. I started out as a dishwasher. I got promoted to a cook. I became a host. I became a waiter. I started learning all aspects of that job until I got promoted at age 20 to start. They would find properties, and that when that store opened up, my job was to go and hire the crew and train the crew and open up that store and teach them how to do proper service, how to wait on customers, what does service look like, what does customer service look like, okay? So I started opening up pizza at a restaurant at under 21 years of age for a Pepsi company. From that job, a man approached me one day when I was working at this restaurant in Flint, Michigan. A man approaches me to get to pay his bill. And he goes, "What's your last name?" We had a name tag, and all it said was first name, Roby. He goes, "What's your last name?" I said, I'm thinking to myself, why is he asking? Is he with Immigration Naturalization Service? Did we do something wrong? Whatever, right? I'm 19, I'm 20, yeah, in that ballpark. I'm not knowing what he's saying. Fear set in. I said, well, my last name is Isaac. He goes, yeah, I knew it was Isaac. You work just like your mother. My mom worked at a factory, GM factory, right? And that was her foreman. That was her foreman. She goes, your mom is Yona Isaac. I goes, yes. He goes, I'm looking at your complexion, I'm looking at your facial, but I'm looking at your work ethics. I've been eating here lunch with all my staff, my employees, all that kind of stuff, and I was watching you go from here to here to here, even though that wasn't your job, but you were here and you were here, you were all over. He goes, that's your mother. And that's where I adopted my work ethics. And I'm thinking to myself, I learned something that day, that no matter where you do, and no matter what you work, no matter where you're at, somebody is watching and they're noticing you. They're watching and they're noticing you. 6 months later, a man sitting down at Pizza Hut again approaches me, comes up to pay his bill. He goes, why don't you come work for me? Here's my card. He gives me his card, I look, and it says Ray Calinquin Imperial Sports. That's all it said. Now, back long time ago, before MC and Dunham's, there was a sporting goods store called Imperial Sports. How many of you remember that chain? You do, right, sir? You do, okay, very good. We had 28 Imperial Sports in there. Now, I didn't know this guy, so I went and applied and looked and said, hey, I'm here to talk to Ray Calinquin. Well, he was a CEO. CEO, right? At Pizza Hut, asked me to come work for him. He goes, well, I want you to come work for me. The first thing you're going to do is you're going to learn how to sell shoes before I give you a store to manage. I go, sell shoes? I'm already a manager. I'm opening pizza. He goes, that's what I need you to do. So I thought to myself, I goes, all right, if he's after me, I'm going to go do it. So I went and did it. And within 6 months, he gave me his #1 performing store, which was in Eastland Mall, all right? So I turned that store around, started generating profits and money, stuff like that. Then I started training managers. Whenever they would open up a new store, they would recruit my staff, my employees, to be the managers of the other stores. So that was that. So here I am in Imperial Sports. I get another job offer. Somebody recruited me to go work someplace else, and so on. But all these jobs that I've had, I've been recruited to go and work for these organizations. Little did I have to do a job application or Indeed.com or Monster. And again, I emphasize, no matter what you're doing, somebody's watching you, somebody's noticing you, or they're hearing about you. And I'll share a story about my uncle, about how the people hear about you and they start recruiting you. So I'm going to share some generic, and I don't want to say generic, but some things that I have seen, okay? I have seen in this workplace in the past 30, 35 years that I've been involved with in many different aspects of businesses is that's not there, that it could be there if taught properly. Like Carrie said, hey, nobody taught them about finances, and you know what? Don't blame yourselves. Don't be too hard, because you know what? My parents didn't teach me either, and their parents didn't teach them. But you know what? You could make a change. You could make a change. So your children, and your grandchildren, and your children, and your grandchildren, and your great-grandchildren can make a difference in their lives if you show them all this, right? Hopefully that's what we can do, or maybe even enhance our lives. But let's go back to the first one. How to get raises, how to get promotions, and how to increase your value. Because, you know, Carrie said add value. When you add value, you become valuable. But you got to learn how to add value. How do I add that value? In what job? Well, you don't understand my situation. I have family, I have kids, I have this, I have that. You know what? I understand. I understand. I've been there. I've tasted it. But I can tell you what, God is good, and He is a blessing when you're obedient in small things, and He will bless you with bigger things. So the first thing I want to refer to is when you're asking for a raise, don't ask because you need to do the cost of living is going up. But managers typically tend to give raises based on performance. Never go to your bosses or managers or superiors or owners, for that matter, and say, listen, I got a car payment, I got a boat payment, I got this, and just my cost is going up, man, and I'm not making it on this income. Not a good reason. Stick to performance-based and show them what you're doing based on your performance, okay? Don't toot your own horn. Sometimes when you go, hey, boss, did you see what I did? Hey, boss, did you see what I did? Hey, look at me, look at me. Now, but do share your wins. Do share your accomplishments. But don't do it all the time as well, too. But you got to share it. Because sometimes you have to be your own advocate as well, too, right? Because they're so busy running around doing many, many other things. The organization that I work for right now, we have 60 dealerships across the country. So my job is to open up dealerships across the country for them, right? So we own Buick, Chrysler, Dodge, Jeep, Honda, Audi, Porsches, Lexus, Nissan, Toyotas. You name it, brand names, we got it all. Used car departments, we got it all, okay? So my job is to open up dealerships, find properties, negotiate, get the leases, get the employees, equip them to have that store running effectively, efficiently, and with excellence. That's what I do. That's just one aspect. The other job that I have right now is I'm the president. I have been for the past 24 years. I'm the president of the local Christian radio station. I don't know if you know that. How many of you listen to Fuel FM or WLJN? There you go. So that's where I came from. I was interviewing 2 people for 2 more jobs for the radio station because normally I'm just a slob. I'm not. All right. But stick to performance. Learn more about your job. Do more than required. Take on new responsibilities as a way of showing that you're in it for the team, okay? The typical average employee does exactly what they're required to do, but they never go above and beyond by learning other things. I had one employee this is back in 2004, 2005, 2006, as I shared it with Pastor Kerry, that stuck around after work hours. He goes, boss, how do I become like you? Teach me what you know so I can be there. Now, if somebody comes to me asking me that kind of stuff, guess what? I'm going to open up the floodgates of heaven. I'll pour so much into him to make sure that they are successful, that they're going to win at all costs. But most employees just want to do their job, and that's it. It is a rarity, at least in the industries that I've worked for and the jobs that I've worked for, to find an employee say, teach me, what else can I do? How can I make your job easier, boss? What can I be learning to help me, to help you? It is rarity. But if you adopt that philosophy and that guideline and that rule, I think the bosses will start appreciating and saying, you know what, I've never had a person like you ask me that question, but here's what I'm going to do for you. But you got to ask. Now, when I say as a way of showing that you're in it for the team concept, I've had the radio station adopt this too, and you'll hear it constantly every year when we do the share-a-thon. So the share-a-thon for the radio station is we shut down the radio programming for 3 days, and we solicit the listening audience, because we're a listener-supported radio station, meaning it's listeners like you that support us, okay? So the team concept is this, that together, everyone accomplishes more. Together, everyone accomplishes more. But when you're in it for selfishness and your own desires, and you're not helping the rest of the team, you're growing by yourself and you're leaving the team behind. And when management sees that you're in it for the team and you're helping everybody, they'll say, he's a team leader. He's a team manager. He's my future leader. And you start seeing an incremental raises, maybe promotions, and so on and so on. But team is important, team play. Now imagine if I was the quarterback, and we're in a huddle, right? We're trying to get 10 yards. Here's millionaires huddling for every play just to get 10 yards, right? But my running back, I tell him what the play is, but the running back decides to do, I'm going to go to the left instead of to the right. The wide receiver says, I'm just going to stick and block instead of running deep, right? My front two guards say, well, we're going to pull to the right and imagine if everybody did their own thing. It wouldn't be successful, would it, sir? Okay. It would be the Lions. Okay? Exactly. But in team cohesiveness, everybody works to accomplish more. When we're together, we accomplish more. Be the leader, set the tone. Don't be, I'm just an employee. I'm just an employee. Sir, can you help me find where this is? Man, I'm just an employee here. I don't know. That's not my department. Right? You go to all these different places. Man, I'm just an employee. I don't know. It's somewhere around there. Instead of taking that customer, showing them where it's at. Now, again, I don't know what industry you're in, but it applies to different things. I'm just an employee. If you think of yourself as just an employee, it's just like saying, I just believe in God. I'm just a Christian. No. You are a representative of a mighty king. And if he is the king and you're his child, that makes you a prince, sir. That makes you a princess. You're a princess. You are royalty. When you think about yourself that way, you cannot help yourself but act that way. You are royalty. You are not just an employee. You are a representative and an ambassador of God. So when you come into work, people can say, where does he get that energy from? Where does he get that passion? Well, if Christ lives in you, he's got to come out of you. And in me, it comes into work. It comes with passion when I work. Whatever I touch, I want it to be good. I want it to be excellent. I want it to be effective. I want it to be efficient. And those are the models that I see that a lot of employees lack. And it's, like I said, it's rarity, but it's there. So somehow I have to bring that out of you. Because I'll see something and I have to bring it out. It might take me time, but I will bring it out. I will recognize your skill set, I will recognize your weakness, and I will make you the best that you can be based on your potential that God has given you. Be a leader, set the tone, and remember, it's never about you. And if you look at the word you, Y-O-U, it's never about you. When I come to church, and I've been with Kerry for 24 years. I've known him since we recruited him at Father's house on Washington Street as a young man, him and his wife. And he wasn't an eloquent speaker, and I say that modestly, right? And he would close his eyes and look and stutter and stuff like that. And I've seen the projection of how he projects, how he talks about different things. Not that many pastors in the United States of America are highly skilled in what he knows. And I'm just telling you this, pure fact. I'm just telling you this because I'm associated with a lot of other churches. I know all the pastors, if not their financial background, the church's budget, stuff like that, because we deal with them with the radio station. So I go visit them just to see what they're doing, because I'm a noticer. I like to notice things to see how everybody's doing. But the skill set when it comes to not only teaching the Word of God, but another area is finances. Finances, relationships, marriage. And on top of that, he's a pilot, right? So he's close to God when he's flying up there. All right. But it's never about you. It's never about you. So when I come to church, I say, it's not about me today, but what can I do for others? And if you look at the word you, Y-O-U, just picture in your head, it's not about you, but look at the second letter. It's what letter is that? O. It's about others. Then the last letter is you, right? Then it's about you. When I work, it's not about me. It's about others, meaning my employees. Then it's about me. My job is to make sure that they are doing and performing to the best of their ability. And then their job is to make sure that it's not about them, it's about the customer. Clients, as we call them, right? Clients. They're clients, they're clients, they're clients. But it's never about you, it's always about others. Then it's about you. That's one of the things that I adopt when I do whatever I'm doing. Write down your accomplishments, what you have done, and what value you have brought to your company. When you go ask for a raise, have it written down. Hey, boss, I just want to share some of the things, some of the winning strategies that I have done, that I have accomplished, and I want you to show this. When it's written, that manager are most likely is going to look at it, glance at it, and read it, because now they've touched it, they've seen it, and they're reading it. You have a higher success ratio. So when somebody comes to me, asks for a raise, and hey, boss, I just want to show you this. Here's what I've done. Now, if they've taken the time to put it together, I'm going to be serious about helping them out too, as well too. Asked to be evaluated by manager, and if you have enough guts, by your own peers, by your own team. A lot of companies are not evaluating employees because the fear of offending them, they're not politically right, or whatever it may be. So they're getting away from this evaluation. I'm not saying all, but some. So ask to be evaluated, so that way you know where you stand with your organization. Last thing you want is to go ask for a raise, and you're thinking you're a 9, and your manager tells you, well, sorry, Josh, but you're a 6, right? It's deflating. It's deflating your ego. But if you're constantly being reviewed and evaluated, at least you know your strengths and your weaknesses, what you need to improve upon. And you want to build on the weaknesses and enhance your strengths. Okay? Talk to the boss and management frequently about, without harassing them. Express your desire to grow and learn with the company. The example I want to use on this one is my Uncle John, who's been in the restaurant industry for 30 years. He lives in Grand Blanc, Michigan. And I've been begging him for 20 plus years to get out of the hospitality industry, which I've been involved for many, many years, to get into the automotive business. He goes, I don't know nothing about it. He goes, I'll teach you. He goes, yeah, I just don't want to. No. I'll teach you. I don't want to do that. I'll teach you. So I started feeding him nuggets once in a while and stuff like that, meeting objections, closing customers, and all that kind of stuff. He finally left the restaurant business, and he's been with this company called Sarah Automotive, which is in Flint, Michigan. Their corporate headquarters in Flint, Michigan. They own about 35 dealerships across the country. As a matter of fact, they're the ones that bought the Cadillac, Subaru, all those dealerships that Otto Belovich used to own, Cherry Cadillac. They own all those dealerships, the Volvo, and he works for that organization. They have, across the United States of America, 680 salespeople that work for them. His first year there, he was in the top 10 salespeople with no auto experience. Second year, he was the number 2 salesperson in the organization. Last year, he made $190,000, and he was number 1 in our entire organization. That's a lot of money. And he doesn't smoke, and he doesn't drink, right? So he's got a lot to invest. The key that I'm trying to say here is, I said, how do you do it? What is it different? He goes, I know what you have, I know what I have, but how do you do it? He said, well, here's what I do. Your typical salesperson will wait on one customer at a time, does not have the ability or capability to handle more than one customer. So they're what he calls lazy, right? He goes, they're lazy. He goes, I'm handling 2, 3 customers at a time. I goes, well, how do you do it? I know how to do it. I goes, but I just want to see what he's doing, so that way I can also learn, right? He goes, well, when I'm working with a customer, then on a test drive, I'll tell the other customer, listen, that customer's on a test drive. I want you to do me a favor, pull up, take this for a test drive, come on back, 15, 20 minutes. As the other customer's waiting, say, hey, I get cheaper the longer you wait, right? He makes fun. He has fun with the customers and clients. I said, well, where does that come back? He goes, well, having worked in the hospitality industry, having managed many restaurants, it allows me to manage the front of the house, which is the waitress staff, the back of the house, which is the kitchen and the sous chefs, and the 300-400 guests that he's got at his restaurants. So anybody that works in the hospitality industry, I'm telling you, I applaud you if you're still in it, because it's hard work. It's hard work. But what you're learning, the art of serving. The art of serving and serving many at once. And I have found out that the people that I hire from the service industry are way better than hiring somebody with experience in the automotive industry. So I'll take anybody with 5-10 years of hospitality industry as opposed to somebody with 5-10 years of automotive experience, because they will bring their own baggage and their own luggage with them. They would not want to be trained the way I would want them to train. Does that make sense, everybody? And that's how he does it. That's how he does it. And he went and talked to his bosses. He goes, listen, I understand that Joe, who's his general manager, oversees like 8 stores, is retiring in 2 years. He'll be 62. He goes, I'd like to put my hat, my name, and that. Because I just want to make you aware, when they're busy, I go out there and help the other salespeople close their deals. I go out there and help this guy do this, and I'll help them when they're too busy. And the manager's response to him was, or the ownership response to them was, well, John, you are on a very, very, very short list to be a manager, and on that short list, you're the top name. Communicating with the ownership and letting them know that you have desires to grow within a company, you have to make them aware. So that way they can sow into you, build into you, and recognize you're seeking higher ground or higher position within the organization. Get motivated, get excited, get passionate. I told you the story about Pizza Hut, what happened at Marvin's, at Dan McCormick's, at Williams. All those jobs that I'm with, I was recruited to go work for those organizations. Key here is sometimes always somebody's watching you. When you're working, man, just think about it. Someone's watching you. And if you don't think somebody's watching you, at least think about this, that God's watching you, right? So are you stealing time from him? Are you being lazy in representing him? Because he's watching you. He's watching you, right? Some of the mottos that I live by that I've adopted in my life, you might want to write this down under get motivated, get excited. How do I get motivated, excited? I want to be the best, do your best at all times. When you walk into my board, my office, it says, be the best, do your best, and do it all the time. Sometimes it's difficult. So I tell my employees, when you come to work, have a checkup from the neck up before you walk into the door. Have a checkup from the neck up. If you have an attitude, whatever you need to check up, you need to check it out at the door. Check it out. Check up from the neck up, okay? Be the best and do your best at all times. Be the best and do your best at all times. Why? Because in Colossians 3:23, God says, in all you do, do it heartily unto the Lord, not unto men, right? Do it heartily, with passion, with zeal, with excitement, unto the Lord, not unto men. My other one that I live by is the 3 E's. Am I efficient? Am I excellent? And am I effective in what I do? Am I efficient? Am I effective? And am I excellent in what I do? As a parent, as a husband, as a worker, I think that could be applied to all. Am I a friend? Am I effective? Am I excellent? Am I efficient in what I do? You could be doing your job, but it could be taking you 2 hours. Then you're not efficient. You could be doing your job efficiently, but you're not doing it with excellence because there are a lot of errors in your job that somebody has to take care of, right? So all that, the 3 E's, what I live by, has to be there all the time, and I apply that as much as I can in my life. The other acronyms that I live by, mottos and verses that I live by, MIH. That's a disease that both my Uncle John and I have, and it's called the Make It Happen disease. Make it happen disease, right? I love it. When I'm given a task, I want to make it happen. With the strength of God that's his bestowed upon me, I'm going to try to make it happen. No, I'm going to save it. The delayed gratification that Pastor Kerry talked about, yeah, because I've been living up here for 25 years, and I love to jet ski and water ski. 2 things I need, a boat and a jet ski, right? Depreciating asset. Depreciating asset. And I live like right around the block on Silver Lake. I mean, literally, there's a public right behind me entrance, and there's a subdivision entrance, so I got access. But depreciating assets, so what do? I rent them every year. It's cheaper, right? I rent it, I get it out of my system, I don't have to buy a boat, store it, winterize it, pay insurance, and then it goes down in value, and I only use it 2 months out of the year, right? If we're lucky here in northern Michigan. So depreciating asset. Make it happen disease. QSC. If you're running a business, oh my goodness. And if you're working for somebody, this is essential. I learned this from Pepsi when they were training us. Quality, service, cleanliness. Quality, service, cleanliness. Quality, service, cleanliness. You can have a quality product, but if the service is shoddy, people are not going to come back today. In this day and era, started about 15, 20 years ago, it's almost customer no service anymore. Dial this to get this, dial this to get that, right? There's no customer no service. How you service your clients, how you service your customers will set you apart from the rest. Quality, service, and cleanliness. NED. Carrie knows this about me, that I'm a reader, because readers are leaders, or leaders are readers, right? I'm a constant reader. I constantly want to learn more because I know that somebody else is learning more and they're going to come up and try to replace me one day. So NED stands for never-ending development. You are in never-ending development, whether you're learning the Word of God, how to associate with God, learning a Bible verse, whatever it may be, or at work. But man, be the best, do your best at all times, but be a never-ending development. Learn something about your art or your craft or whatever you're good at, or maybe being a better husband or wife or father or whatever it is. But be a never-ending development and learn more about what you do. And apps, this is for people in the sales industry. Apps, it says it's appointments equals people equals sales. A lot of us have to meet people in order to sell. But if you don't have appointments, if you're not constantly setting appointments, then you got nobody to see. But if you set the appointments, you make the phone call, which is the hard and dirty work, you will see those people, and that opportunity will equal the sales. Okay? Colossians 3:23, I went over that with you. And all you do, do it heartily as to the Lord, not to man, knowing that from the Lord you will receive the reward, the inheritance, from you serve the Lord Jesus Christ. Last one on that page is don't be mediocre, lukewarm, right? Don't be mediocre. How's your work? That was mediocre, right? So if I were to say that was mediocre, percentage-wise, what would you allocate to it? A scale of 1 to 100. If I said, hey, your job was mediocre, what would you allocate to it as far as percentage-wise? 50, right? 50-50, right? Because mediocre means it's medium, right? Medium. It's 50-50. So you either did 50 good and 50 bad, because you only gave me half of what your capability was or ability, right? Well, so if you have 50-50 and you're mediocre, if you take a positive 50 and the other one was a negative 50, when you add them up, what do you get? Exactly. Fail. You get 0. So when you do a mediocre job, you're saying, here's my best, I'm a 0. I'm a 0. So mediocrity does not reign. As a matter of fact, the Bible tells you that do not be lukewarm, because I will what? That's right. I'll spit you out of my mouth, right? Mediocre. Key aspects in business life that I teach all my employees, whether it's in the banking business, whether it's a mortgage business, whether it's a clothing business and all that kind of stuff. And I just happen to be fortunate that I was able to teach myself all this. This is self-taught. Reading books, materials, and all that kind of stuff. But you got to practice A, B, C, D. Does anybody know what A, B, C, D stands for in the business world? It stands for above and beyond call of duty. Above and beyond call of duty. When a customer comes and we serve that client, when they leave and they decide to wait on the purchase or not make a decision, when they go shop you around someplace else, if you went above and beyond call of duty, your service was right up here. And I expect that of my employees. So when they go down the road, somebody else, and their customer service is right here, they cannot help themselves but come back and say, I was treated way better here. The customer service was way above and beyond the call of duty. Not only did he show me that this, I can do this, but what bank I can do, what interest rate, what insurance, what the options were, the features and benefits, all that kind of stuff. But he gave me choices galore, and your service was so high up that they have to, by default, go back and get where that service was rendered. Okay? And if you don't do A, B, C, D, you are doing the opposite, which is DCBA. Don't come back anymore. You're telling the customer, don't come back anymore. I don't care. I'm just an employee. I'm just an employee. I don't care. And unfortunately, a lot of that happens, and we capture that business. And my uncle captures that business because he does A, B, C, D. And he's good at it. Serve your clients. Keyword, serve your clients. They are there to be served. Your customers, whoever you're working, your employer, serve whoever that is in that position. Here's a sure way to get a raise. Look at your expenditures, your outgo, your incoming, know your assets, liabilities, and sacred cows need to be slaughtered, all right? So we talked about saving $50, $60, $100 and stuff like that. Some of the most high cost things that we have right now that we haven't had maybe 15, 20 years ago is our cable bill, our internet, and our cell phones, right? So talk about saving $60. Dude, I know some of you have $100, $200, $300 phone bill, especially if you have a family of 2 or 3, and your cable bill is probably $150, $200. Because I know with Charter, if you have the internet, telephone, and cable, it's easy at $200. Yeah, exactly. Right. Right. Exactly. Yeah. So that instant gratification, that instant delay, or that delay of that gratification, I gotta have it now. I understand. But think about what you're going to be at in 20, 30 years, in 15, 20 years. But it starts today and it starts now. It's not too late. So cable, phone, hey, it's short-term pain, but long-term gain, right? It's short-term pain, but it's long-term gain.